Sightsee the Tarot is a series on my channel through which I take you on a tour of tarot books, spreads, techniques and tips, different decks, and more. Today's video tutorial will be a hands-on workshop, so please watch while you're seated comfortably in front of your reading space with a deck of cards ready to go. You're also going to want pen and paper nearby. Eden Gray, who we're celebrating today, said her favorite tarot deck is the Rider-Waite-Smith, so that's what we're going to be using today. Her book, Mastering the Tarot, Basic Lessons in an Ancient Mystic Art, published in 1973, is now a tarot classic, even if some of the information in here is just a teensy little itty bit outdated. Still, it's rich with insights into the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck that I feel like today, among us new school tarot readers, gets lost or overlooked, like how the angel depicted in Key 6 is Archangel Raphael, who Eden Gray corresponds with the angel of air. This is the symbol of the superconscious, or Archangel Michael's appearance in Key 14, Temperance, as the angel of fire and sun. In Key 20, Judgment, we encounter Archangel Gabriel, who Gray corresponds with the angel of water. In her book, she presents a method of tarot reading that she refers to as the Hungarian Method. Gray also talks about how to read the cards, and so in our workshop today, we're going to read in exactly the way she's instructed, following her techniques. I ask that you please humor me for just this guided reading session and set aside your own style and approach to the cards. Instead, let's read the cards exactly the way as Eden Gray instructs us. Let's learn this one master's way of tarot and see how we like it. In our previous Sightsee the Tarot video on tarot counseling, we talked about the logistical and intentional differences between a psychological approach to tarot and fortune telling. Eden Gray's approach to the tarot does tend toward fortune-telling and predictive reading techniques, so let's revisit what that looks like. Here, as a tarot reader, you lead the session. You're going to be telling the querent or client what the cards say based on your card reading knowledge and skills, what your intuition is telling you, and drawing upon your psychic abilities to lend guidance to the querent. There are two ways to start the reading. The first method is when the querent tells the question directly to the tarot reader before the shuffling and reading even begins. Then the tarot reader proceeds already knowing the querent's question. Today, you often hear readers refer to this as a specific question reading. The second method is when the querent does not share his or her question to the tarot reader, and instead you get right into shuffling and reading the cards. The tarot reader draws upon card knowledge, intuition, and psychic abilities to answer the querent's question without ever knowing the question. I liken method 2 to what I call a general reading. 3/4 of the way into the reading, if the tarot reader hasn't specifically addressed the querent's question, then the tarot reader will now give the querent an opportunity to present the question. The reader then revisits the layout of cards on the table and finds the answer to the querent's stated question among the open cards. Now let's start. We're going to read the cards as instructed by Eden Gray. You may or may not have a question, it doesn't matter. Don't even think too hard on it for now. Focus on the physical motions and execution of this tarot reading, which I will guide you through. But do keep your tarot journal and pen close by. You're going to be reaching for it midway through the session. Gray instructs that in a tarot reading session, the querent shuffles the deck and holds the question in his or her mind, visualizing the question as energy. Visualize that energy getting shuffled into the cards. As the tarot reader, these are the instructions you would give to your querent as you let that querent shuffle your tarot cards. While the querent is focused on the question and shuffling the energy of the question into the cards, the tarot reader invokes higher spiritual forces to be present at the reading. It's the reader's role, while the querent shuffles, to dial into the divine. In her book, Eden Gray doesn't give us any specific methods for invoking higher spiritual forces, so we're just going to do our own thing. We're now going to do a reading together. Start by writing down a question you'd like to present to the cards, or just go with a general reading. You can pause the video now if you need to. Visualize your question as energy getting shuffled into the cards, Or visualize yourself sending beams of your personal life force into the deck, beams of energy that manifest as light. For the purposes of this video tutorial, we're going to use my invocation because convenience and logistics. Start shuffling your cards. Visualize those beams of light that you're sending into the cards as you shuffle. Relax all tension in your physical body and listen to the sound of my voice. Hear the invocation as if it were your own. My voice is yours. My words are yours. Shuffle as the sound of my voice weaves light into your cards. Angel who records, whose hand seals upon the book of remembrance, who bears witness to all, to enumerate every deed since creation, from the beginning of the world to this day, from my cradle to my grave, I invoke you to read to me, to show me, to transcribe upon my heart, to place upon the mantle of my mind. The pages of the book I petition for, let it be the truth, let that truth, come what may, ever be used to work the highest good, and so may it be. Now set your cards down in front of you. Gray instructs on cutting the deck before you start your reading, and she gets quite specific about how you cut the deck, so let's do it together. Here, let's imagine the tarot reader and querent sitting across from each other. The querent uses the left hand to cut the deck of cards right to left into 3 card piles. When the querent is done cutting the cards into 3 piles, right to left, the reader now uses the left hand to pick up the first card pile, place it on top of the second pile, then move all the cards to the third pile, and then begins the reading. When you're reading for yourself, use your left hand to cut the deck right to left into 3 card piles. Then use your left hand to pick up that first pile, then the second, and then the third to return them into a single pile. Now we get into the 6-card Hungarian method of reading according to Gray. Now use your left hand to cut the deck one last time right to left until you've got 3 card piles. Turn all 3 piles face up. The topmost card in each face-up pile will yield you 3 cards total. Pull them down to begin forming your spread. Now flip the 3 card piles over to retrieve the bottommost card in each pile and set each of the bottommost cards from the 3 piles into your 6-card spread. The top and bottom cards in the rightmost pile are the past. The top and bottom cards in the leftmost pile are the future. The top and bottom cards in the center pile are the most important. They represent the present or current forces at play. Today, we're trying out predictive tarot reading because Gray's approach to the tarot is for fortune-telling purposes. Let's work through the pair of cards for the past. If we deconstruct the theoretical model of predictive tarot reading, it consists of card knowledge, intuition, and psychic ability. You're leading the querent. This is not a co-creative process, meaning you're the authority, you're in charge. If the querent doesn't resonate with what you're saying, you don't change lanes to get in line with the querent. No, you stay your course, you double down, you are always right. Here, for the past, read the pair of cards as if they are giving you the details of an actual event. Try to visualize yourself as a journalist reporting the facts. In the card imagery, look for the who or characters in this plot, the what or plot, where, when, maybe considering time correspondences as well. As the tarot reader, approach these 2 past position cards as an affirmed reality. Let's give a reading of the 6 of Wands and 9 of Swords together. You're quite accomplished in your professional field, but the stress has been causing you so much anxiety, it's starting to affect your health. Affirmed reality, really high levels of stress, possibly issues with blood pressure from the stress. For quite a long while now, the glory and benefits of the querent's career track no longer outweigh the personal and mental cost. There may even be an argument in the recent past still bothering our querent, causing an onset of depression. Now, let's talk about intuition versus psychic ability. Intuition is meeting someone for the first time and getting the hunch about this person's character. It's based on data you possess in your knowledge base, but the processing of that data is happening on a subconscious level. You're not analyzing, but it's still based on some innate knowing. Psychic ability is sensing the spirit of the guy's dead grandmother nearby. It's hearing him in your inner ear, I don't know, saying the phrase, "It takes one to know one," only to later find out that's kind of his signature catchphrase, something he says a lot. Psychic ability is feeling in pain yourself because you're empathically channeling the fact he suffers from chronic pain. Okay, one step at a time. Right now, we are focusing in on the two cards you pulled for your past. In the first prong of predictive reading, let's focus on card knowledge. Pause the video here and write down what you know about the card meanings for your pair of cards. For the intermediate practitioner, don't forget to account for elemental dignities here. If you need a refresher, go to the Holistic Tarot Study Guides download page and check out the supplemental handout on elemental dignities. Next, we're going to focus on exercising your intuition. As a training technique for exercising your intuition, gaze at the holistic landscape of the two cards combined. You're viewing a work of art here, and the two card images tell a story. Observe your own emotions and feelings, your own sentiments. What feelings do you get about the story these two cards are trying to tell you? Take a moment, pause the video to write it all down. As for your psychic muscles, here's a neat trick, but effectiveness will vary from person to person, and the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. Look around you where you are right now. See the walls? There are walls around you, yeah? Okay, sit quietly in stillness. Really concentrate. Imagine that there is a soft, muffled voice speaking to you from the other side of the wall. You have to really sit still and be focused to hear what it's saying to you. Listen intently. What do you hear? Then write your psychic hits down to seal it in reality. Pause the video to try out that psychic training exercise. Honey, that's called clairaudience. Now place the two cards side by side. Close your eyes and then scan your fingertips across the surface of the combined cards. Wait for an impulse to stop and then look down to see the symbol your finger is pointing at. Commit that symbol to your memory. Close your eyes. In your mind's eye, will that symbol, that detail or image you were pointing at to transform into something else. You can even whisper to yourself, "Change for me." Whatever you visualize in your mind's eye, that detail transforming into, write it down now. Think of this as a psychic hit, which we call clairvoyance. Now let's look at the pair of cards for the future. Here we're getting into the territory of prediction because what you're going to say has not yet come to pass, but you are declaring in advance of it happening that it's going to happen. You are foretelling what is to come. When you journal in a stream of consciousness channeled way about how you interpret these future cards, try this exercise. Write, "I see," and you have to complete that sentence in a way that's predictive, intending the imagery you see on the cards to be a forecast of what is to come, what has not yet happened. Also write, "I hear," and try that clairaudience exercise we did earlier. Channel and write what you hear. Don't forget "I feel" and pay attention to your emotions that come as a reaction to the pair of cards you see. Finally, my favorite, and I think if you've never done this before and you start doing it now, it's going to be a major game changer. I know. And then channel and complete that sentence. The most important tip I can give you, lean in to yourself and don't just rely on card knowledge. For example, when I see my pair of cards, I see a celebration, maybe a wedding, wine, champagne. I also see and I hear the pattering sound of rain. I feel that during an occasion of joy, deep, deep down, secret feelings and emotions are submerged in sadness and uncertainty. I know that a major event is going to be postponed. Okay, now your turn. Synthesize the three prongs of predictive reading and write down in your journal your forecast for the future to come. Keep in mind that this is fortune telling, a form of predictive reading, so predict. Pause the video here to free write. Finally, the pair of cards in the center. These cards inform how you get from the past, where the querent was, to the predicted future. Here we are also given insights on how to change or support the predicted future. To practice Eden Gray's predictive fortune-telling approach, keep in mind card knowledge, intuition, and psychic ability. You're a journalist reporting the facts, a psychic journalist. Try to extract from the cards who, what, where, when, and if you can, why and how. And remember, phrase your messages to yourself as affirmed reality. Apply these psychic training techniques and write out in your notes, I see, and complete that sentence. I hear, I feel, and I know. Now pause the video and free write. Mastering the Tarot by Eden Gray was one of my first tarot books. I learned how to read tarot from these fun little you can only cut the cards with your left hand aphorisms and old guard tarot card meanings. As for her ancient mystical Hungarian method of tarot fortune telling, I have no idea if it's even Hungarian, but it's a gem of a spread all the same, so enjoy.